Hello, everyone. Welcome to Recommendary Podcast. Yet another session with one of our well-wishers. Here we have Karthik Balasubramanian and Subramanian. He's somebody who I first came across through a blog post of his explaining of the books he had read in the year 2023, and I was amazed to see some great names there, and the way he described those books instantly caught my attention. And I felt like he's somebody we need to talk to understand his thoughts, how he's managed to able how he's man, how has he managed to finish so many books in a life as the product manager, which we all know is a quite a hectic one and was a demanding one. So in this conversation, we wish to know all that. So welcome, Karthik. Welcome to the podcast. Just to give you a brief about Karthik's journey, Karthik currently is serving as a product manager at Salesforce. He has worked with Rubrik, he's worked with Microsoft, he's worked with Amazon, SAP, such great names. Um, and 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 the and, and he's been an engineer before, a mechanical engineer before, and then he transitioned to a technical writer, and then he's now being part of the product management fraternity. So, how has it been, Karthik? And welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for offering me this time to have this conversation. It's going to be interesting. Yeah. So the journey has been pretty good. It's been pretty diverse, and on the go, I have been adaptive all through. So to give a nutshell about this career, it's been like um, I've got about 10 plus years of experience, and I passed out as a mechanical engineer, and I was a mechanical design engineer very early in my career for the first 1 to 2 years, and I was like, I wanted to do something, um, and like, hey, this is like very monotonous. The way I was doing the job was pretty monotonous, and I would do something out of the normal. And I didn't know. I started trying out jobs. I gave few interviews for even some support. What do you call that? Support, voice process, and all of that. I was trying to explore like, hey, what I will fit in. But the journey was accidental, where I started to become a technical writer, where I didn't know. One day I got a call from a recruiter saying that, hey, why don't you come and attend your skill set matches? And this is SAP. I said, wow, mechanical engineers love SAP products because we use those products for in consulting business, like bill of materials or manufacturing or all these different sectors. We use their products extensively. I said, wow, when they are calling, why don't we go? And I was like all excited, very early stage in the career. I just went into the interview, and it was totally different kind of interview, not for the role that I've been working on. It was completely 360 tangential. I just told what I know in that interview process, and I got the role. Out of like 50 plus people, I was the only one who got selected on that particular day. And then I quit this current job, went into the new job. On the day of the floor, I realized that I'm not going to do what I was doing for the past 2 years. It was a complete different role. Everything was different. At that time, being very naive, I was just focused on, oh, yeah, it's a SAP, it's a big company. You should just join. That was what I knew. And also, my first organization had a 3 year contract. So I broke that contract, no experience certificate, and I joined this company with a completely different role, accidentally being on part of that role. It was completely different. So I can still remember the date, May 25th, 2015, I joined ACP, and it was like totally different. That's how my career started into technical writing.
Right. And what were the lessons? What were the key takeaways from being part of a technical writer? I mean, how different was your previous experience from that technical writer role?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, the technical writer role, or to explain for the vast majority audience, right? It's about doing technical documentation. You take any industry, you be it a
Right.
software or a hardware or anything, there is a documentation that is shipped with the product. That is, and you need some people to do the job. You take a hardware TV, you have a small decal setup to say, hey, this is the TV, this is how you turn on the remote, and so and so. There is a writer who's sitting and writing that work. And similarly for software products, It's much more than that, right? It's about administration, setup, using the product, security, and many other things. So I was not great at English, and
Okay.
for a core part of this role requires you to be a good writer and good at English knowledge, which I'm not when I joined. Even today, I'm not that great writer. I'm improving, but you got to be good at that. So the first learning was that I got to adapt from what I was not to learn that space, and that's where I first started exploring multiple roles when I joined as a writer. I was doing testing. I was doing delivery management by creating reports for the leadership team. I was doing video editing for the software products, like all the how-to videos that we were creating at the that particular product. So I was trying to do a bunch of stuff to understand where I fit in the whole IT life cycle. So the first lesson that I learned was that be open in terms of trying new things so that you know where you fit in this cycle, and you got to be adaptive because this landscape is changing day by day. Like what it was IT space in 2015 or 2010 to what it is today is totally diverse. There are bigger areas of work like testing and all has been removed. Many organizations removed and they have moved into automation. I mean, some other person has to do the job, but completely the division is no more in many of the organizations. So you got to be really adaptive and you got to be really open to explore new things, which is like completely out of your comfort zone. That was the important thing that I started to learn right when I was in SAP for a brief period of time.
Right. And then from being a technical writer, the transition to a product manager, I'm starting to see
Hmm.
the connection here because you're saying that being to be a good technical writer, you need to have one, the technical knowledge, and number two, the communication skills to express that in a way that people can understand. So in many ways, when you're
Yeah.
writing a product description, I can see the parallels here that skills kind of translate to being a writing a good product description and to be able to express to collect different information sources and to be able to express that in a product management setup. Is that true?
Yeah, that's right. So, like, see, I'll first tell like how this plan shifted. So while I was at SAP,
Yeah.
when I was like exploring all these roles, product management was also one thing that I focused on saying that, hey, this is the place I want to be in because this is the place where people solve problems. And I can try to solve the problem because I'm not a programmer and I was not really interested in testing. I was not really interested in the delivery program management or the engineering program management. All those are great disciplines and great work, but where my inclination was towards where I can solve problems. Since I was not a developer, I had to naturally choose that line of action. But then on, it was not like an easy thing, right? I had to prepare for it. So it took me more than 3 years to get into that. And that 3 years was a journey in the making, was about like how will I there. In different organization, I was trying to learn the stuff about PM while I was doing my core job of a writer.
Mhm.
Now, to answer your other question about like what is that thing that is really important is for being a product manager, for every person coming from a different background, they have one skill set that is very high. For example, a software engineer turned PM will have high technical knowledge. A marketing professional turned PM knows how to market the product, how to position it for a GTM, and how to position it well in the market. Of course, they know other stuff, but they will be very strong at that. A salesperson knows how to pitch the product, how to focus on the problems that this product is going to solve. And similarly, when I was a writer, I used to write about this product, like, hey, what is this product? What problem it solves, and for whom this problem solves, and so on. So I, as a writer, we get breadth of knowledge, not the depth of knowledge, because we write about all the different features, all the different areas of the product. So it's like multitude of breadth of the product, but not depth. So that
Yeah.
breadth helps me to understand how various things are getting connected across various personas, be it internal or external, like from the internal marketing team or sales team or the technical team or support team, how they will consume my documentation to focus on the product, and how customers think about this documentation to solve the problem of the product. So this was really helpful for me to be on the product management side. Like I was trying to focus on the problems and how a product will solve that problem. And when it comes to rating, you're absolutely right that communication is non-negotiable. When I say communication, it's both uh, verbal and written. Now, written, you can really help you structure that how this whole idea, right? Like it's not about just writing the PRD, right? It's about conveying my idea to someone. I can write it in a nice fashion about like, hey, what is this idea? To whom we are trying to solve this problem, or what problem we are trying to solve, and how we are trying to solve all this in a structured way. But when it comes to presentation and communication of how verbally we communicate that, still it's a challenge. Like it's an evolution. Like I'm not great at that, and I evolve every day. And I've got ton of feedback from my ex managers about hey how you should do that, how you should improve upon that skill. So you are absolutely right that communication, both verbal and written, plays an important role for a PM. And whatever I learned as a writer, I could directly apply in terms of structuring my thoughts, conveying something to someone about an idea or a concept or something else to someone within the organization or outside the organization. It played a pivotal role.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the next question that I have for you is now that I already know how this problem solving is a key like motivator for you to choose product management as a career path. How what role did MBA play in that? How did it add value?
Yeah. So uh, this is a statement that's going to not go well, but this is the harsh
Right.
reality of the Indian ecosystem. Many organizations think that PM is not a must for the role, and many PMs feel that it has never really added an value. But when it comes to getting an opportunity to foot in the door,
Yeah.
this has become a prime thing for many candidates. The reason is not because MBA is valued very high, but because the the number of candidates who apply for a role are way too high. And
Yeah.
the organizations need a filtering criteria. Oh, okay, I'm going to hire a PM for CRM. So first, let me see if I have a PM who has got extensive experience, B2B SaaS applications, and in the CRM domain, and has got MBA. If this criteria fits, then I think first I'll try to interview that person. Like, where is the best fit I can see? Now,
Yeah.
many a times the first 5 or 10 resumes, when you pick up from people from IIM graduates or all the B schools, they are like really sharp. They are like analytically good, great candidates. What happens is they crack the interview. In the first 5 to 10 itself, they crack the interview. So every time when they try to go and hire someone, the resume shortlisting criteria will get, because of the competitiveness, they get someone there, and then that comes up. Now, for me, I was already working in an organization and I wanted to get into PM. My motivation was that I need to learn the other aspects of business. All I knew when I was a writer was that, oh, PM will solve a problem. They will work with us. They will write a PRD. They'll work with the engineer, designer. They'll finish the feature, and that's it. We knew only this much. But there are bigger aspects to it. What does strategy mean? What does vision mean? How organization thinks that funnel and converts that into a roadmap, what kind of problems that roadmap solves, and how it connects back to the vision and mission of the organization, and how we are positioning ourselves, how we are going to sell in the market, how we are going to look at the financials of the market, how we are going to measure the metrics of the product. Many of these things I got introduced from MBA. So for me, it felt like this is important for me for the next 25-30 years that I'm going to be in this industry. How I learn about things, how I evolve will be a fundamentals. MBA will be my fundamentals to kickstart my journey. Now there is other side of it, right? Like, hey, there are great entrepreneurs, great PMs who never had an MBA, but still they are great and successful. Yes, they are successful. No one is same. Everyone is different. Everyone has a journey. Everyone has a path to it. So this was something that personally felt, and it's helping me. There is great PMs, like great founders, like Kunal Channel never had a degree. They dropped out. from their B schools, but still they're doing great. So they inherently have that knack and skill to run a business at scale and grow. Not everyone has it. That's where education plays a role to equip the person to succeed in their entrepreneurial journey or in the PM journey or in the IT professional journey or any for that matter.
Right. And I think a lot of that is coming out as well in your writing as well, whatever you mentioned. And one particular piece has really attracted me is the Substack piece on how to get into product management, how to succeed in that. And I think you ask the readers to ask three critical questions, whether you'll fit into a product management role, manager role. One was the passion to solve problems. The second was whether you have the cheerful attitude to meet the demands, and third was to negotiate the conflict with the right attitude. So the one word that kept repeating was attitude. So you have mentioned about problem solving. That part is already clear. So how big a role is the attitude in all this, and why is it important?
Oh, this is not just specific for PMing, but I will tell for generally and then specific into PMing. Now, see, for any role, for anything in the world, we alone cannot do anything. It is more about collaborating, right? Like, hey, we are doing this podcast. You need two people. You need someone to
Yeah,
interview. You need someone to talk to. It's not a single game. You are partnering and collaborating with someone to do something. Similarly, you take anything in the world, nothing is done single-handedly. And that's fundamentally goes to the point that you need to collaborate with someone to build something. Now, that's true for anything and everything in the world. Now, to come when you talk about PMing, product manager is a function that has to talk to various stakeholders within and outside the organization. Just to name some, we need to talk to sales, marketing, customer service, developers, designers, technical writers, solution architects, um, then externally like customers, probably partners. So there are so many personas, and with all of them, we have to work together to do get something out. With marketing, we need to look at the GTM positioning. With sales, how to pitch the product to customers, what kind of customers to target, and with customer support, like when there is an issue, they have to go and deal with that. And we arm them with information and technically how the product works and how the feature works. So with every persona, we have to talk to. And when the number of people in the process increases, it increases the complexity. That means each one is not going to be the same. Their attitude varies, their mood varies, the way they
yeah,
function varies. Now, as a PM, I cannot go with an attitude that only I know everything. Number
yeah.
two, that what I tell is not the ultimatum. Number three is about I should be open to hear every persona's viewpoint so that I shape my thoughts about how this feature is going to work or the product is going to work. So it's highly important to look at from that perspective. So not every day is going to be a good day. So the days where it will be pretty nice, smooth, some days you will be not great because either the work is not getting done or your feedback is not going great or you have to give feedback to someone or someone has given to you about the feedback that how things are not going well. So which ultimately boils down to the fact that you have to keep up a cheerful attitude in this role, which is important to succeed. And of course, I'm emphasize the importance of collaboration because not just for this role, any role, collaboration is highly important. And this role, it's like another 10x is important. Collaboration is very important.
Any instance you can recall? I mean, any of your previous roles where there was a difficult situation that and you overcame with this attitude. Love to know.
I think in one of my previous organization, what happened was one of my designer, me, my designer, and my EMs were all working, and my we told the designer, hey, we have to finish this by X number of date. The design has to be there so that the dev can pick it up. My designer was like pissed off about, hey, you're giving me very short deadline to finish this work. and you have to complete it by this time. But the engineers are going to have like 5 months of time to develop it, but we don't have so much time and leeway to do what we want to do. So, and all sort of conversations started to start up in the communication or the collaboration tool. And it was like very messy situation. The person was so off and thrashed me left, right, center in the conversation itself. I did not respond to it. I just respond. I totally understand your plight. While I really understand, this has been the situation because we have a deadline and we have to hit this deadline. So we are all operating in the same constraint. So that happened, but the people in the that channel, conversation channel, everyone knew that this is not going the right direction. So I was quiet, composed. Fortunately for my day, I was also very calm. But in a couple of hours, that person texted me separately and said, "Hey, Karthik, I'm going through a bad day. I am
Right.
shifting from my one place to other place, and I have kids things going on at home, and both me and my wife are working. We are shifting, and there's no help. So everything came up and boiled down to my fact. So he was going through a lot. So it totally understood that as an not PM, as a just a friendly employee or a colleague. I just told him it's fine. I understand. It's okay. You can manage stuff, but still the date is this only. But we have to take care of stuff. But I totally understand. So you don't have to worry about what happened there. So
Yeah.
that that day was like again it was emphasizing for myself that you have to like if you're really pissed off, you don't do it right at that moment. You take a
Mm.
pause or take a moment,
Yeah.
like detach it from like 30-40 minutes. Then if you think
Right.
about it, then you will not be rude with someone or harsh with someone. Also another always mantra that I tell to myself is when I'm working with someone, I detach myself personally from that conversation, and
Yeah.
we can have a heated debate, awesome conversation, thrashing the idea,
Yeah.
thrashing the process. We can do everything and not go
Yeah.
personal. So if you have an idea, put that idea on the table. Let's go and kill the idea. Like if you want to kill, if you want to thrash, if you want to say that it's the crappiest idea, I'm all ears. Unless this does not happen at the personal level. You don't attack the person, you don't talk about the person. You don't tell that you are stupid. You can tell the idea is stupid. So
Yeah.
I have detached myself personally so that
Mm.
I am always at peace. So my mind is always composed that I don't, this person is not telling about me, this person is telling about the idea. So I'm all chill. That's my biggest learning and my biggest advice for anyone or suggestion, that detach yourself personally so that you will have peace at work.
Right, totally. And this this particular point that you raised is making me connect to your the books. One of the books you have mentioned, the blog posts, two books. One is Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman and Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. I think the
Hmm.
points you mentioned directly correlates to what you're trying to say, where you are now detaching yourself from the conversation, focusing on the idea, which is one of those fundamentals of showcasing the emotional intelligence out there, and being, and then when you have that conversation with your colleague, and you were showcasing that nonviolent communication that's mentioned, feeling for the others, and being empathetic to that person, and still trying to achieve whatever that is possible in that situation. Is that something that you consciously do at work? Has there been any situation where you picked up some of these pointers from these books and try to apply in your work situation?
Actually, the situation that I narrated about, back then it was slightly different. I did not have courage to speak up. I took all that. And
Right,
then
right, right,
I understood he was going through a bad time and I said, fine. But the recent books that I've read about nonviolent communication or emotional intelligence or all in the recent past years, I could connect the dots back on how I behaved.
right.
But it's no reflection of, oh, I studied this and I applied there back then. I was
Yeah,
basically not courageous. I was not ready to have a conflict by talking to that person back then.
yeah,
But in the recent times, I have very consciously talking to a person when the person is having a bad day, or they're not doing good, or they have some viewpoint. I try to understand in what state they are in. And to quote an example about nonviolent communication, when a person comes and says, hey, Karthik, we are working on this idea and this seems to be like a bad way. My support team told, hey, this is not a great idea. Customers are going to trash it. They're not going to be happy about what you're doing. Then I use the techniques of the NVC there. I asked, like, hey, what is your concern and what you feel about it? Like, I try to understand the emotion of the person and what do you think? And the fourth one was like, how can I help to alleviate that? So that whole conversation or anything, even in personal life or in professional life, this four aspects of like, we got to narrow down to differentiating or observing how we feel, not how we think. There is a difference
Right.
between feel versus
Right.
think. So that's what that book talks about very deeply. And how you feel or how I feel, how you think or how I think. We have to differentiate these two, understand that aspect, and then try to apply into the conversation. You can understand how this person is thinking or what they need or what is their concern. Now, the important thing is you don't say yes, yes, you are right, or you don't say
Yeah.
yes, yes, you are wrong, and you don't say you're absolutely thinking wrong. Like, you don't offend, you don't agree, you don't disagree. All that, you just listen to that person, and then you try to see how go deeper, asking questions about what is their feeling, what is their concern, what they need. So if you narrow down to this point, you will be able to understand. And these were the things that I learned from the NBC book. And in the very recent times, I've applied that when I was having conversation with my support team about a feature that we were trying to deliver, and they were not happy about it. So yeah, very recent times I've been focusing on very cautiously trying to do it.
Right. And naturally, once you are having these conversations, the next step is the decision making, right? And decision making largely, and this is again drawing from the book that you mentioned, is one of the books that you mentioned is Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, and there. And that was one of those books where you slightly disagreed with the idea put forth by the author, in the sense that he
Hmm.
is actually backing intuitive decision making, intuitive decision, defining intuition decision making as something that is deeply ingrained in the memories, and based on our experiences we are looking something and taking a decision based on the experience we have. So one of the obvious drawbacks of that is it is again our limited experience, our personal experience that we are banking upon. And and we all know in the modern realm of management, mostly it is a data based, evidence based decision making. You see a certain thing, and then you verify that hypothesis through data, and then you make sure that you take that idea to a rigorous process, making sure that idea stands the test of time and test of the scientific evaluation, and then you implement it on the ground, right? Now, what is your take on this, and how do you, when somebody's your colleagues or other people, when they are coming with an intuitive thinking based solution or proposal, how do you map that? And I also want to know how personally you balance both. Obviously, there are advantages to both. And are there instances you can recall where you have personally balanced both of these?
Yeah, actually, Malcolm Gladwell's Blink is a great book. I learned great of intuitive thinking, the power of intuitive thinking in various situations. But when I was writing that blog post, I was simultaneously reading this Thinking Fast and Slow. Now, that talks about System 1 and System 2. System 1 is mostly about your intuitive thinking. System 2 is more about your calculative thinking, or it will do effortful thinking. It will do analysis. So that's the reason I told somewhere disagree in all the things that is written out there, because intuitive things thinking comes from all our experiences, and somewhere it is buried in our memory. And at right time we identify patterns.
Yeah.
We identify patterns and then say, oh, if this is happening, it's because of this. If this is
Yeah.
happening, it could be because of this. So we try to recollect from our memory and tell that this is what it is happening. And a great example that is quoted in that Malcolm Gladwell's book is that there was a fire accident and fire people were going on and they were standing in the kitchen. Everyone was like standing and people were waiting to see what is going to happen. The chief came up and told, quickly move, everyone move out. Somewhere in the back of his head, he realized that the fire is not happening in the kitchen, but it was happening right above the roof.
Yeah.
And the moment people moved, the floor crashed down. Now, this
Mm,
came up with so much of experience that it buried in his memory and it was recollecting and telling, hey, fire is not happening here, it is happening somewhere else because of the surrounding and the system he read. There is a pattern to it. Now, unconsciously, he took that action. Now, if you take a little more depth to it, the effortful thinking or the analysis thinking, other people would have thought, oh, I was standing here, fire was not here, we were all looking left, right, center, but fire was happening somewhere else. We could feel the heat, but it was right above the head. Then I think now we moved away and it crashed down. It makes sense. All the other people will do the effortful thinking too because it is not
mm,
easy for them. It is not a pattern that they've recognized. It is not etched in their memory. So these are the systems one and system two that our brain identifies and talks about. And that's where in the intuitive thinking, I told, like, I don't agree on everything, but yeah, there is great essence to how he has narrated with various incidents. Now, coming to my life about how do I balance these two is again, it's a pattern, right? Now,
mm,
if you ask me like every day, how does my commute to my office goes in a certain route? I know the route; it's buried in my memory, and I travel right in that journey. But Bangalore's traffic is highly unpredictable. So what I do is that every day I open, look at the traffic, look for data, which place there is heavy traffic, which place there is no traffic. Still, I'm combining both my intuitive thinking to go through that route versus making how long it's going to take to keep my mental model ready that it's going to take time or it's going to take lesser time or this is how it's going to. So I combine these two day in, day out to make that decision. Now, it's not realistic for everything. I can bring my effortful system. I cannot do a calculation because breathing doesn't require effortful thinking. It's natural, it's intuitive, it's unconscious. Sleeping, hunger, all of this don't need. You cannot spend energy on effortful thinking. So your brain, when knows it right that I cannot do this, I don't have enough information, or I don't have enough pattern to recognize, or I don't have enough experiences to recognize, it brings in effortful system. It will not 100% rely on intuitive thinking. So even after thinking all through that, right, like you try to analyze everything, you don't have all the information, you don't have all the knowledge, what you will say, okay, inky pinky ponky, let me go with the fourth option. You try to do an
yeah,
intuitive thinking, gutful thinking. So
yeah.
it's a fine balance. Every human goes through that balance without recognizing that we do this.
Right, right. When we were narrating this, one thing that immediately came to my mind is the sport of cricket. I think that is one sport in which I've seen because I'm personally a big follower of cricket and I try to watch all the matches that I can. And especially a cricket captain is somebody is at the brink of both these worlds. Why I feel is that um, obviously there's a lot of homework done before approaching a big series or a match. There is a lot of data available now, both on bowlers and batter side, and every captain now goes with a certain strategy for each batter or a bowler in mind. Now that homework is ready. That whole database, evidence-based decision making is that base for that is laid down. Now, obviously, when you go out in the field, uh, the things can change, and there are a lot of variables can change. Suddenly, there is a change in the conditions. There is a new bowler that we don't know about, or there is a new batter batting altogether different style. Um, you know, uh, then the intuitive thinking comes in, and one of the masters of the intuitive thinking was for me was my MS Dhoni. You would see MS Dhoni taking decisions, completely wacky decisions that wouldn't make sense then, but it would later go on to be a masterstroke when you go back and analyze and hey, that was a pivotal moment that changed the match. And you obviously have seen him planning this dismissal out, giving advice to spinners based on the data that he has must have gone through when when we were doing homework. So I feel, and for that matter, all the other captains as well, Virat Kohli, Rohit, I don't know how much you follow cricket, but these three, I mean, instances and the captains have been remarkable, while applying both of these thinking processes, right? Yeah,
Absolutely, you're right. Like I'm also an avid follower of cricket, so I could relate to what you say. So that's a very good example of saying that, right? So MS would have done so much of analysis. He has a cricketing brain. He does the analysis, and then he says, "Oh yeah, I know this pattern. This person can do this." So we have to be ready for that. And then they position a fielder. They try to bowl in that in way. They try to execute it in the right fashion. Then like it happens, and the person does the same mistake. So it does not come like you just put a person who don't know cricket and who put him on the field and say, hey, now you want to have to pick this wicket. How will you go and bowl for this person? How will you set fielding for this person? That person will not know anything. So it's not like MS is like doing this out of the blue. It's like there is so much of analysis gone into his brain. Unconsciously, they identify patterns to do all this. And of course, data plays a big role. They would have done that homework and also. I can totally empathize with what you're saying and relate to what you're saying. And of course, by no means like they're experts of cricket to
yeah,
comment, but we can understand how they try to play the game.
right, right. Yeah, and one thing I always think about is, after we know, how to come to a decision, and then once a decision is made, then we have a set of things that we have to execute. You have like 10 different tasks that we have to undertake, and sometimes you have multiple projects in place, multiple different tasks to be done almost at the same time. There you again mentioned you've actually written a blog on this, and you've repeated this in your other multiple other blogs also on the topic of prioritization. And you have dedicated one blog entirely to prioritization. You mentioned this framework called EMST. I just want to understand, what was the thinking behind it, and how do you see it getting applied in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like this is one of the area I struggle very much as a PM. And like me, there are many PMs who struggle. There are tons of great frameworks out there in the market, but not everything fits into every scenario. And how an organization works is that not every framework can fit into every other areas of the organization's work. Like I'm just giving an example. You, you have platform team to do platform product management, which does not have any revenue attached to it, but you have apps team which has revenue attached to it. Now you can think of two frameworks. One is that, hey, how much return on investment I can get, versus if you try to apply that framework to a platform feature or a platform product, it does not work that way, because
Right,
platform products are not meant to make money, but it's to enable the
right,
apps team to build on top of it that could go sell and make money.
right,
So when it comes to prioritization, as I said, I'm not great at it, so I struggle with it, and I'm evolving with it. I had like a couple of people in my career who were always say that ruthless prioritization is very important in a PM's game, because you need
yeah,
to know where you will spend effort to get maximum return on investment. That's a standard thing that everyone says, right?
yeah,
But how do we identify that? That's where I thought, like when I was doing some platform PM work, I had done apps PM work, which will bring revenue, which does not bring revenue. I slowly started understanding that everything that we do accounts for two things. Every customer who wants to purchase a product, internally or externally, they have only two goals: how much I will save money, or how much money it's going to bring for me.
right,
And saving money can be directly translated to saving time. When you save time, it is as good as
yeah,
saving money as well.
right,
Like saving productivity, saving money. So it's only about your feature or the prioritization that it's going to do is about whether it's going to bring me money or it's going to save money.
right,
Now you get a basic framework. Now, not everything will be directly related to money or saving, but you have to look at that from that angle. You have to try and connect can I save money or can I earn money with the feature that I'm going to do? Now, once you're very clear about this, you have a measurement to say how I will approach this feature. Now, also, along with this, you will have, like, if all the 10 features are going to be like earning money or saving time, then like you can stack rank it after understanding like how much feature each is going to save money or gain money from. Like, it's going to give me like 100 or 10 million, or it's going to give me just 1 million, or it's going to just give me 50,000 or 500,000. You have a relative measurement to know whether I'm going to earn 1 million or I'm going to earn $50,000 or I'm going to save $50,000, and where I can invest my time. And to build that 1 million feature, am I going to put 5 devs or 10 devs, or am I going to put 2 devs or 3 devs? You can have an evaluation that gives. Now, this is not the only framework that you can use in the world. Like, when you don't have a framework, when you are struggling to figure out, you can keep this as a baseline. And on top of this, you can use all the other frameworks in the world, like the various frameworks that I've listed down in the article. Like, thousands of blogs are talking about the same 10 frameworks.
Yeah,
Kanban, Rise Impact, all that great frameworks. Now you can try and use this as a combination to nail down your prioritization framework. And yeah, that's where I always go back to the saying: either you are earning money or saving money with your feature that you're doing. Now you think about how you want to prioritize your feature.
yes, yes. And finally, this connects me to this, takes me back to one of the roles I did in the previous in my previous organization, where I was a HR consultant, and the framework that you lay down around people, process, and products. Uh, that I have worked on the exact same framework in a different context, where we are trying to bring about a change in a company, and we wanted to measure the impact of that change. So we exactly did the same from this three verticals, which people, product, and processes. We looked at from the point of view of how much money can you save or slash time, and how much money can we earn, and potentially the organization can earn from this kind of a change. So then we evaluated this. We kind of listed down the top pointers that came in these are three verticals and tackled each one of them basis their urgency and their priority. So what you said strikes with me in a personal level as well. So thank you for that. And the other thing that I wanted to know is that, obviously somebody like you, because there are multiple things that are coming to you, and then you got to respond to it in a very efficient way. And one of the ways you can be efficient is by building habits. And I want to now bring the attention to one of the books you've quoted as well, Power of Habits. Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I think we have one more book, Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. So these are the two books you've quoted, which largely falls in the domain of habits, how we can, you know, positively manipulate our own behavior to get into the path of least resistance, get things done faster, get things done more efficiently, in a much better way. So, has there been instances in your life where you've applied these principles?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In the recent times, I've applied these two, and these books have transformed my habits. Not 100%, but it is transforming, and I'm in that journey now. Pretty much, I am a very chaotic person, and I don't plan very well my days, and it's a very sort of chaotic. So, what used to happen is, in my personal life, I like to read books. I like to write. I hit gym almost at least 5 days a week. And then I have a 2-year-old kid with whom I need to spend time, my family, and then work. All of this is there. Now, the first and foremost, I was trying to read ton of productivity uh, blogs, productivity books, and lot of videos. All was saying great things, but was I was just doing that. I was never getting into action of what I wanted to do. The problem was that I was not aware that, hey, I have to do it rather than just watching all these videos, books, articles, and everything. That was the tipping point. And Now, because of my hectic work life, I could not read. So one of the things that Atomic Habits tell is that you identify and be aware where you are spending your day.
yeah,
So be aware, then see what is your feelings, not motivation. What is your feeling? What is your outcome of the feeling? And then see if you can achieve the same feeling with something else.
yeah,
Now, to give a good example, we are wired by our brain that when you are bored, you open either YouTube Shorts or Instagram or Facebook because you have associated your boredom with that application. You open it,
yeah,
you scroll through some time, you are good. As told by Neil Ayal, who's a psychologist who's written
yeah,
Hooked, right? He
of
says
course.
that everything is associated with emotion. So my brain was that. So what I used to, whenever I used to get bored, I used to open and do the same thing. What I did was first to be aware. I started putting my screen time, understanding where I'm spending time. At the end of 2 weeks, I was not changing anything. I was just feeling bored. It's okay. I will open Instagram. I will do everything, like whatever I want to do. At the end of 2 weeks, I checked for the last 2 weeks how much time I spent. A whooping 14 hours was spent just on Instagram and YouTube Shorts.
Right.
Now I cannot complain that I don't have time.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I had 14 hours of time to do, but I was just scrolling through feeds. So now what I did was I started changing how I can cut down that time. So whenever I wanted to use my mobile, I wanted to turn that boredom into my books. I wanted to use my book. So first I started stopped taking my mobile to this washroom, and just before bed, I stopped keeping my mobile very close to my bed. So
Yeah.
I sandwiched my book reading before I take my mobile. Like it used to itch me to watch reels, but I had told myself, hey, if you read 5 pages, you
Yeah.
can take your mobile and do something. It's like a reward system that I kept for myself. Now, slowly, I have stopped taking my mobile to washroom. I instead of that, I replaced with my book. Now, all the time, that book is there, and you can slowly see that I have been replacing my boredom association with my book. If I'm bored, now I pick my book and I read something.
Hmm.
So that's how I started with 5 pages a day. It became 10 pages a day, then it became 15 pages a day. Today it is 20 pages. Occasionally I hit like 50 pages, 70 pages a day. Ultimately the goal is not number of pages, but the habit of reading. Like if I read 20 pages or 50 pages, naturally it will account for 1.5 hour of my day of just reading. So
Hmm.
that's why I equate my number of pages to the books as a proxy for the time. So
Right.
I've slowly started doing that. So the Atomic Habit books and the Power of the Habit, which Charles Duhigg, both explains a very similar concept. Atomic Habits tells how you can practically put that in use, and
Hmm.
the Power of the Habit tells you how psychologically you are wired to what you are doing currently and how you can change about thinking, these two. So today I read about 20 to 25 pages a book every day. So like my reading streak has been more than 4 months, like more than 120 days I've read every day minimum of 20 pages. And 5 days a week I hit gym. I either go in the morning or evening, but I have made myself accountable by using an application to track my uh, mm, like habit. Every day I do that. Yeah, these are the way. And now I have started my new habit about like I have to churn one article a week. That is
Right.
like not for anyone, but like for me. Like I have read something or learned something or I want to just share something. I just want to write it as a blog and churn. So I'm trying to hit that habit of like one per week. Of course, I'm not successful in the initial months. I'm trying to cultivate that habit again. So these two in the recent times have really shaped my habit, and I'm focusing one habit at a time. One habit becomes a habit, then I go on to the next habit.
Right. And you mentioned about gym, and that's something it's close to me also. I'm somebody also tries to be regular there, and often when I see my friends, who are new to taking up fitness as a journey, uh, and I mean this you must have also seen people generally buy an expensive gym membership, go out there and try to put all the effort there, and try to achieve as much as possible in the shortest period of time. And one of the shortcomings that I see, one of the wrongful things they do, one of the mistakes of their approach, what I see is instead of first changing their identity to being somebody as a fit person, as somebody who wants to be fit, who wants to be seen to be fit, being able to do things which a fit person would do. Instead of changing their identity to being a fit person, they would rather change their actions first. So one of the mistakes that I say is you should change the identity first of what you should be and can be, and then you should follow it up by your actions. So that is one mistake I see. And to give you a real example, somebody who is focused on being a fit person, or for that matter, that can be any identity. Um, you can you can still do your workouts at home. You do not go to a gym. There will be times when you are doing when you are in a tight schedule, you may not have the time to go to all the way to a gym and work out. At the same time, when you have the identity of fit person that nags you, and you okay, I am somebody who's a fit person. So today there is a responsibility from my own self to be doing certain number of time, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes of workout in whatever way I can. So I think for me personally, that has helped me improve. I used to think that I could only work out in the gym. Whereas because of this identity that I created for myself, I was able to balance that, and I was able to do uh, the workouts here at home. It might be a very minuscule change, but over the period of time, like I have this favorite writer of mine, whose name is Naval Ravikant. He keeps saying about he keeps emphasizing about the power of compounding. And I think fitness is a one big example of how power of compounding, along with investment and everything else, improves your life dramatically.
You're absolutely right, and I think this is one of the concept that James Clear writes in Atomic Habits about, like, first figure out your identity, what you want to be. And you are so right. Like, when I said that I want to be, I work out, right? Not all 5 days I can't go to gym. So sometimes I have to work out at home, or sometimes I replace that with walking. So if I'm on a
Right,
day I'm not able to go to gym, I have to. My goal is that I have to be fit person. I have to be active 45 minutes a day. I have to be active. That's my goal. It can be hitting a gym, it can be running, it can be walking, it can be any other activity. So be yourself active is my goal, and being fit is the identity that I want to be for myself. And you're so right. Uh, be, like, we can, if we want to give, we can give reasons, like excuses for everything. But if you figure out a way to do something, you will not give excuse, and you will somehow, some way do it. So it's just about us, like, how we comfort ourselves, saying that, yeah, yeah, today I had an important meeting or something else, I could not go to gym. It's fine. You could do it like 100 dips at home, or do some activity at home, or you can just go for a walk for 15 minutes. Anytime, like walking doesn't need a time or a gym, right? You can do even midnight 12 or early morning 5, or any time when you just find 10-15 minutes a day. So it's just about how you convince yourself, how you comfort yourself with a lie and excuse. It all depends on that.
right, right. We've discussed so much in this short period of time. I want to go to the last segment, which is what is your hopes, aspirations, dreams for 2024? What excites you in your career? What excites you in your personal journey? That thought. With that thought, we can end the conversation. If you can share something on that.
Absolutely. So my goal so far has been, every day is to be happy and contented with what I have. That's my first and fundamental goal. I'm happy when I wake up. I have a roof. I have food on the table. I have a job. I have a family. I have people that I love around me. So I'm contented with that. And whatever I do, I'm aligned to that. Am I going to be happy by doing this or not? Am I going to be contented with this or not? So that's what my inherent um, motivation all through, that I want to be.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, when it comes to, say, the other things, I want to be like fit and active. I want to spend time with my family, be productive as much as possible. So these were pretty common for anyone who would like to say, yes, I want to be like this person. So personally, yeah, that's the most important thing I've been realizing day by day. Spending time with family is important. Spending time with friends is important. Spending time with my little ones is very important because the time lost with I will never get back. Professionally, I am looking forward to, and this is my personal philosophy. It's not always about um, titles or power or something. For me, it is about building a positive influence with people, making meaningful connection. So far, in the jobs that I have changed for the past 5 to 6 years, I've not had any problems with anyone in my teams. I've had positive relationship with people, very meaningful, and I've been in touch with people. So when I go to work, I want to maintain that positive relationship with people, meaningful relationship, and we are working towards something, right? The organization has certain goals, and we are trying to be passionate about that goal and work. And what excites me really at work is about you crack something, you solve something. It could be as silly as 2 plus 2, but it is something you didn't know, and you are cracking it, and you're learning it, and you're excited about it. That's what it matters, and all about uh, that's what makes me happy professionally. So solving something or learning something that I didn't know, but it could have been known to everyone. I didn't know, but I learned today. I'm happy about it, and I'm satisfied about it.
Thank you so much for that. I think the key takeaways for me from this conversation are three. One is to be having the gratitude towards whatever you have. Number two is be continuously be curious and excited about things around you. And three,
Mm.
try to be balanced in your life, like how you are doing different things, managing family, managing your personal fitness, and managing your career as well. And these are three takeaways that I'm sure the viewers also are taking away from this. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
your time. I hope we meet again in the near future with more books, being added to your already glorious library. And we get to talk about that. We get to talk about more of your other experience that will come in your way. And that'll be a great session to have. Thank you so much.
absolutely, absolutely. It was great talking to you, Gautam. This was great, and I think whatever I shared today, there are great people out there, and there are. I mean, we are looking up to many people for learning and growing. This is all about nothing but just we are in the phase of growing, and we will continue to grow, continue to evolve until we move away from this earth. So this is a very constant thing. So a having this conversation, and I think we'll have more conversations in the future.
Thank you. For viewers, we can find the video on Recommendary YouTube channel, and for audio, you check out the Spotify page for Recommendary. Thank you so much. More such podcasts coming your way. Keep tuning in. Thank you.